Rachel caught a skidder tire on the inside of the track with this right rear, and it has caused carnage. So she caught it in the front of my right rear here, and on those composite springs, it sheared those plastic pins, those locator pins, sheared those off, and just shoved the axle rearward about a good 6 or 8 inches. And you see all of this folded up. That's because the tire itself caught the rear fender whenever it went rearward, folded all that up. It's jerked the drive shaft out of the transmission. I know that. And so the car was rolling when it jerked the drive shaft out of the transmission. So I got to look at the yoke on the drive shaft. It might be beat up. I don't know about this spring because it's still clamped up, but it slid back. So it may have tore the spring up, may not have. I've got a tarp over the car because we pulled the wheels off where we could go ahead and load the car up at the track. But it was like 20 degrees last night, and I've just got distilled water and water wetter in the radiator. And so we covered the car up with a tarp and put a heater up underneath it. You do what you got to do, right? Anyway, let's get it tore down. Let's see how bad it is. Good spot. Safety first. Now, let's see how bad it is. Y'all, I'm just gonna tell you, don't ever let people at the track say those famous words, how bad could it be? One of my superstitions about race cars is when people start uttering those words, it's like they putting that evil on you. You'll get home and you'll have all kind of damage that you would never expect. So I am a little bit superstitious. I'm not superstitious of the green though, y'all. This car is green. One of the gentlemen that kind of showed me about dirt track racing when I first got in it and everything, he would not let a piece of green touch his car anywhere. He was like, that was taboo. And I don't know how I ended up with the green. I'm not sure. I think what it was, I think I was running blue and orange or something at the time. And like I was just having terrible luck that year. It's like everything that could go wrong had gone wrong. And just, you know, I was lap traffic. And so I think that that's where it came from. Like the next year starting out was when I changed my number. I had originally years ago ran J2 and I had went to 74, and that car was just everything that could break had broke. It wasn't a bad car, I was just having a bad year. And I think I went green on purpose because I was just like, you know what? We're just going to flip the script and go in the complete opposite direction. And if green is supposed to be the worst luck it is, well, I've had the worst luck possible, so let's just see. And I think that's where the green come from, and I started getting some success, so I've stuck with it. But now I like orange. I am from Tennessee. Oh, I like orange. That's part of the reason with the orange. I like bright colors. Everybody puts dark, everybody's, you know, got like black race cars. Some tracks aren't lit well, and it's like I want something bright that, you know, the guys around me can see. If I spin out in front of them, I want them to know, I want them to notice me, you know, and hopefully not run over me. And hopefully, you know, this year not run over Rachel in the Camaro. There we go. Okay, let's see. Oh, please don't be beat all to pieces. Oh, I think my cage up there did its job. Hold on, let's look. Let's see. Y'all, I got no dent. I don't have any fresh paint. Like, in other words, fresh marks where the paint's been knocked off would be a dead giveaway. I see a little bit of green, something right there, but it is not even knocking the paint off. There's no dent there or anything. And I've got no marks on the yoke or anything. If your drive shaft comes out and you've got a dent, Man, I think you should replace it. If you see a dent hits in your drive shaft, you're asking for trouble. But I think we are good, and that's a good thing, because that's another $200 something right there. So, woo! Thank you for that. All right, we're off to a good start. All right. So I took the nut off the end here on the shock, and this shock is tight. I mean tight on that stud. And it looks like what happened, the shock saved me. So the shock was on the front on the right, and so I got knocked rear where it topped the shock out. It's gonna be junk. It was an old shock anyway. I didn't put fresh shocks on the car yet, trying to figure out where it was at. It taking the hit and stopping it from going further, let's just assume that shock's junk. We'll throw it away. But I guess it's good, because if nothing else, even if the spring is damaged, it kept the rear end from coming on out from under the car, ripping the brake lines loose, ripping the other shock off. So, thank you, buddy. Now, let's get this thing loose and see what we got. All right, there's that one. Last one. Moment of truth right here, y'all. Now, y'all notice how I've got this with bolts instead of a U-bolt here, and that clamps up tight. That's because at one time on this rear end I ran the Fast Boy setup, and I had a rotating assembly right here. Now it's all welded up now. Nobody's cheating, and it was legal in the class I was running it in at the time. But yeah, that's the reason when you run a Fast Boy, you don't run U-bolts. That's your dead giveaway if you want to know if somebody's running a Fast Boy. First of all, they won't have big old U-bolts going across here. If they do, they're just for show. They're not actually what's holding it together. That's a clue, y'all. That's a clue. Pay attention. So, but yeah, that's the reason that I don't have U-bolts. Now, the question would be, well, did that come loose because it wasn't U-bolted? No. It is a very robust clamp. Oh, God, that is really, really jammed in there. Ugh. Okay, Betsy, you gonna go. You may not think you're gonna go, but you gonna go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Get up there. All right, let's see what we got. Well, I didn't get through so I got all the way through my layers of Gorilla Tape right here, and I've got a rip right there, and I don't know, is that where the spring has cracked, or is that where this just drug down through there? It could be where it just drug down through there, like a little scrape. And I'm okay on the bottom, and I'm okay on the back here. Everything's fine. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to not cut into the actual leaf spring itself. You see how thick that Gorilla Tape is. That's why I run it so thick. I've had really good luck with composite springs over the years, but I run really thick duct tape and multiple layers. You know, so I can't complain if she's ruined. I'm not gonna be mad if she's ruined, but you know, it's like, okay, Rachel is a rookie. I mean, I probably won't buy new composites and go back on it, you know, right off the bat with her, cause I got a feeling she gonna do this again. Maybe not into a Ute tire. Instead of a Ute tire, it'll be something else. But that's part of it, you know. That's part of learning the process. So I try not to put chemicals on the springs, but I think this is justified. That may not be a crack. That may be a scrape. All right, what we got? What we got? What we got? What we got? It's a scrape. It's not a crack, because it's just missing completely right here. It looks like it's where it, yep, that's what it is. That's what it is. It looks like where that it just gouged in. It actually scraped hard here. Right here it really didn't scrape, it just took the enamel off is all it did. I think we're gonna run it, y'all. I may go ahead and order some springs just in case, but I think we're gonna run it. If you ever really question on a composite spring and you're trying to figure out if you cracked it or not, like I am, put a jack under it and flex it and watch it. It'll show you. So let's put a jack under it. Let's see what it does right there. Let's see what it does. She's got the car on her now. Let's see, any different, anything? No. That's where it got it. It's where it just scratched it. We're gonna run this bad boy. We are back in business. And that, my friends, is the reason that I tape these things to freaking death. I do not think that this bow bent my rear end at all. 57 1/4. Oh yeah. She's good. All right, so the rear end is square. I was pretty sure I hadn't bit my rear end, but it's a lot easier to bend a rear end on like a W suspension, like a 4-link on a metric or something. It's a lot easier to bend a rear end on those than it is on a leaf car because the suspension points are closer in to the center. So when you take a hit in the wheel on the outside edge, it's got more leverage to that point that's actually holding it. So like a leaf is right here, but like your 4-links, you know, are here and up here way in. And so you got a lot of leverage for it to be able to bend that tube. And that's probably why I've always had such good success with, you know, having the rear end not get bent when I've run Camaros. The locator pins are broke off on the right side now for this leaf. There's nothing I can do about that. Don't want to drill a hole through that. Nothing like that to put a bolt through it for that or anything. As far as setting it up without having those pins, not a big deal. I got a tape measure. I'm just going to put a 1/4 inch of left rear lead back in the car, bolt it all up. Because like I said, that actual plastic little pin that locates on these composites, it's not doing anything. Anyway, let's bolt it all up. That one right there needs, that one needs some more. All right. God, it's cold. I think I got her. Yep. That's where I want it. And this side's fine. It twisted a little bit, but it didn't even really pull into the spring at all. Oh, wrong way. Let's see. Where are you at? Oh yeah. We gonna run that. See if I can ease this back up in here. That'll unload.
It's cold.
It's very cold. Yep. It is very cold.
Oh.
Okay. You want to work the button for me?
Let me
zip up.
zip up.
Well, we can get in here. We ain't got to worry about freezing tonight, so. Drivetrain's good to go. Everything was fine, so.
All I gotta do is push it up.
Yeah, we do it just right, but it's hard to get them lined up. It's, if I didn't have the jig over there up against the wall, the shop needs to be twice the size it is. But it wouldn't matter how big we built the shop. We would still need to be. We still need to be twice the size. Hang on a second.
Have you got it turned towards you?
Yeah, pull them asphalt pull-offs. Don't like to turn when they're down at race pressure.
All right.
There you go. I'll take the jack and move it over. Oh,
Well, it didn't hit it. I thought it was.
Yeah, it's all right. That's good enough.
Can't walk by.
So me and Kim's got her back in the shop. I'm really feeling good about this at this point. Something I want to show y'all I do. But as I've gotten older, y'all look right here what I did. So I have to write myself notes. This is the way I do it. I don't know how y'all do it, but like I know this car, I'm probably a half a quart low on transmission gear oil right now. So like I have to put myself a note on the car. Because if it's something I don't see and it's not obvious, I sleep overnight, I'm liable to forget it. So I'll slap notes on the cars themselves. That way I don't miss things, because that's an easy way to run a transmission. Other than that, I got to take the rear spoiler off and straighten it out. I wanted to point that out. Me and Joel loaded the car up on the trailer, and you know there was really no way to avoid this when we were loaded up. I'm like, don't worry about it, we'll just, whatever, I'll fix it. But it's because I really wasn't paying attention, something that I've learned since then. Like my back bumper is actually flush with the back of the car, and then the spoiler is back from that. And like anytime you do that, you know, unless a wrecker has got his boom down with a real short cable or something, like you're gonna tear the spoiler up on the car. There's no way around it. So now I've understood, you know, I get it, like putting a loop that's out where that the bumper is actually out a little bit further than the spoiler can save you a lot of trouble. But it is what it is. I'll just take it off, straighten it out, put it back on. Gotta straighten that rear out right there. Gotta put another right rear shock on the car. I'm gonna throw that one away. I'm not even gonna try to see if it's good. It's a non-rebuildable, and it was an old shock to start with. It was just something to kind of see where we're at. And let's see, what else? I think the next time that Rachel runs this car, we're gonna be racing against others. I don't think we're gonna be able to make another testing tune with this car before we end up going to the races, which is fine. I think she's fine. Now, her racing with other people on the track, kind of learning how to run beside people and stuff like that, I mean, that's a whole new layer that she's gonna have to work into. No more receiver help, anything like that. You know, that's something we can do during a test and tune or practice where I put her on a receiver and I'm talking to her, you know, on an alternate channel. But that's over with. Hopefully, she's got enough skill set now, she's comfortable enough in the car now that we're gonna be ready to move to that next phase. I'm excited about it. Car really did well. I did a little bit of work to free the car up just a little bit on entry and tighten it up on exit. Worked really well, so it's gonna go back on the scales now that I've made some changes in air pressure and stuff and a change in spacer, kind of see what the car's scaling at now. Need to post that as well on my website and stuff and put y'all some details there, so I will do that. And if you're as happy as me about not having any major expensive damage, thumbs up on this video, for real. All right, see y'all next time.